The difference between a rugby ball and an American football is that this ball is way cooler.
When I work out, I put my work. When I work out, I put my work in. Ready, get, go. If you wanna play ball, better give it your all. Stand tall, put your work in. When I work.
My name is Maria Thomas. I am a rugby player. I am Trinidadian, Canadian, and Welsh. I've also spent a year living in Russia. So I love that rugby is a global sport, and I'm excited for everything that we're going to do with rugby in Trinidad and Tobago. And this is one of our new rugby balls. And by the way, I'm the president of the Trinidad and Tobago Rugby Football Union. I was introduced to sport very young. I would guess 3-4 years old. My first sport was gymnastics. Then I moved on to different varieties of dance. I have played, probably easier to say how many sports I haven't played than sports that I have. As an athlete, I think the quality that made me the most successful was my dedication and consistency. So I would make sure that I never missed training. I always showed up. I worked really hard to always be on time. If I was on time, I considered myself late, and that is something that really served me well, especially playing on a team. The highest level of competition that I have participated in was the 2019 Pan American Games in Lima, Peru. It was the first time that a women's Caribbean rugby team participated in the Pan Am Games, and so that was a great accomplishment not only for me, but for my team, our coaches and managers, and for the rugby union. So rugby is generally thought of as a male sport because it is, a high contact sport, and traditionally, I guess coming out of sport, there's an expectation that more men are interested in it. From my perspective, I love rugby. I've been welcomed into rugby, and one of the biggest influences in my life has been this drive for gender parity and to make sure that we have equal representation in rugby. I don't think that sports are male or female. It's what you like to do. It doesn't have anything to do with your gender. One of the things that I think is unique to me is that I don't give up. Even when perhaps I think I should. I can't throw in the towel. As long as I believe that something is possible, I'm always working towards it. Rugby is a team sport, and that's something that motivates me a lot because I know that if all of my teammates are doing what they need to do, then I'm responsible for making sure that I do my job to the best of my ability. That's how we're successful as a team. Carrying over into leadership, that's one of the most important lessons that I've learned because now I have a new set of roles that I need to complete, but I'm seeing that throughout the community and volunteers who have stepped up into different roles, I know that as long as I do the best that I can at the role I have, they are making sure that their roles are filled to the best of their ability as well. So the habits that helped me to get this far in my sporting career are to show up, to be dedicated, to always do my best, and to say yes. It doesn't matter what the job is. It may seem like a small job, but every single job is important. And that's something that has served me very well. I think that people look at jobs in different ways. Imagine you're an athlete on the pitch and you've been playing, you haven't had a sub, you're exhausted, you're tired, you're hot. The person who carries out the water has the most important job at that moment. And I think that if we remember that throughout all of the infrastructure of our organization, then through that respect for everyone's job and when it needs to be done, we will be successful. Sport has had a huge impact in my life. Starting sport early was really helpful. One of the things that I've noticed is when you play sports, it's easy to transfer into other sports. Having that physical literacy is very important. Rugby in particular has been a constant throughout my life. And so not only in my physical development, but also in my social development, emotional development, my networks, and now in my professional development, rugby has been a constant. Some of the future goals for Trinidad and Tobago rugby are first and foremost a safe return to play. Rugby is very focused on player welfare, from World Rugby through Rugby Americas North, which is our region. And in Trinidad and Tobago, we have made sure that even throughout this period of the pandemic, we have been making sure that when we return to the pitch, it's done in the safest way possible. So we have prepared our COVID-19 protocol specifically, but also physical return to play protocol so that our bodies can readjust to having the amount of physical training that we anticipate in the future when it's allowed. So our number one priority is to make sure that returning to play is a safe process and that everyone can begin to enjoy the sport again. Participation in sport is very important for psychological development. I think that especially at this time, because we have all dealt with the pandemic, with COVID-19, with things we've never experienced before, we're able to appreciate how much sport gives us and how important it is to the balance in our lives. When you play a sport, everyone has a common goal. And so the different influences that may impact your mood, how you think about something, your perception, they're still there. But as long as you focus on the main goal, it helps you to be healthy as far as your psychological placement within the game and even within your life. The advice that I would give to aspiring athletes is to try. In rugby, when you score to get points, it's called a try. And I think it's a great metaphor because when you try, you are successful. Even if you're not successful in the way that you thought you would be, by trying, you open up new opportunities and you find out the place where you're meant to fit in.
Gotta give it your all, stand tall, put your work in.